Peter, can you explain the difference between lifespan and health span?
Most people, when they think about living to 120, they think about, sitting in a wheelchair drooling. And that's lifespan. It's how old are you alive, and your brain is got some brain waves and your heart is ticking, but you may be not there and you may be in pain and suffering. Health span is how old are you and feeling great? How old are you and have the vitality, the cognition, the aesthetics, the mobility that perhaps you have today? Centenarians typically will get to a 100-year lifespan and a 95-year health span. They're feeling great, and then they fall off a cliff. Unfortunately, for most Americans who are making it to 80, they're healthy towards, till 65. They have 15 years of degradation. And we don't want that. We want to be in vital health throughout the majority of our lives.
So in both your recent work, so you've really kind of urged people to rethink aging and how we look at it. So, Peter, in Life Force, you talk about how aging is a disease that correlates with every other disease. And this isn't really how many people think about aging. So what are the implications of framing it this way?
I think most of us listening here know somebody who's gotten to 100. 100 is now an expected life expectancy. Maybe not a health expectancy, but life expectancy. But there's species on this planet like the bowhead whale that can live to 200 years old, and the Greenland shark that can live to 500 years old. In fact, the Greenland shark can have babies at 200 years old. If they can live that long, why can't we? Right? And that's a really important question. So that's one way I frame it. It's either a hardware problem or a software problem. When you're born, you get 3.2 billion letters from your mother and 3.2 billion letters from your father. It's your genome. And your genome doesn't change as you age. Your genome is the same at birth, at 20, at 40, at 80, at 100. So why don't you look like you did when you were 20, right? Why don't you have that six pack and ripped muscles? And it isn't what genes you have. To a large part, it's your epigenome. It's which genes are on and which genes are off. What we're beginning to understand is that you can impact that. Your genes impact somewhere, I've heard, as low as only 7% of the impact of your life expectancy, or as high as 30%. It's not the majority. It's your lifestyle. It's how you live, and which is what our country is to a large degree about.
This was where all the Blue Zone work came from.
Sure.
They were looking at the genetic studies, right? And they're like, holy crap, genetics is only 10%. It was 10% was their number of the equation. So what's the 90% that is actually determining our health span, our longevity, the quality of our later years, all that stuff? That's where all that research started too.
We take for granted our lifespan and health span today. If you look at when were humans cavemen and cavewomen, is about 100,000 years ago. The average life expectancy back then was late 20s. You would go into puberty age 13, you'd have a baby. By the time you were 26, 27, your baby was having a baby, you were a grandparent. And if our mission was to perpetuate the species, the last thing you wanted to do was steal food from your grandchildren's mouths. And so you would die. So for most of human history, the average human lifespan was 30. And it just the last century that everything from antibiotics and pasteurized milk and better sewage systems have given us additional health span. That real breakthroughs in stem cells and epigenetic reprogramming, in selytic medicines, could add 10, 20, 30 healthy years and maybe buy you enough time to get the next 10, 20, 30 healthy years.